Often there is so much happening behind the scenes, isn't it? It looks like everything is happening on the stage, but there is a vibrant life going on behind the scenes. And I love to be able to offer you a little look into my behind the scenes today. So join me inside. Welcome to the Wise Doula Podcast, a place for informative, uplifting, and educational conversations. Here, we will discuss all things connected with parenting, from conception to birth, postpartum, and beyond. You are amongst friends here, so go ahead and grab a cup of your favorite drink. Remember, not caffeinated if you are expecting, and join me inside. I can't wait to speak with you. What's this episode about? Oh, yes, we said we were going to do a behind the scenes. Yes. So I invite you, come on in, and let's talk about what is happening that you don't see. Some stuff is happening perhaps physically, other stuff is happening mentally. When you think of an entrepreneur, such as myself, do you think of a glamorous life with like lots of excitement? Do you think of a difficult life with lots of hardship? Do you think of an interesting life with lots of variety? I will tell you it's a mix of those three things, but it's definitely an interesting life with lots of variety. Now, I know those of us that used to be in a 9-to-5 job that have transitioned to entrepreneurship have felt a definite shift. Okay. And if you're still in a 9-to-5, you might be wondering what my life looks like, what I do, and how I handle this different lifestyle. And if you look at entrepreneurs, especially very successful ones, you might think it's a very glamorous life, it's a very fun life, but it's also a complicated life. It's complicated because we, as humans, we have a lot going on in our brains, I tell you. And as exciting as it is to do this work and be able to be my own boss and work on the projects that I'm passionate about, it's also a difficult road. And in the 9-to-5, you have supervisors, you have bosses, you have, in my case, I was a teacher, so I had my principal, my assistant principal, my coordinator, the district superintendent, and under the district superintendent, probably 3 other bosses, you know. So I had a lot of people to respond to. And, you know, I did it. That's the lifestyle I knew for close to 20 years, you know. That's the lifestyle I knew and I understood, and I thrived in it because, well, you know, it was what I did. It was what I had to do. But as you transition to entrepreneurship, a lot of things are new. Oh, you don't have those bosses anymore. You're your own boss. You don't have those supervisors. You're your own supervisor. So you tell yourself, enough of a coffee break. Let's get back to work. That's okay. That's 2 videos on YouTube already. Let's go back. Okay, I guess we need to push another hour because we need to finish this project. You get to do all that. So that part is fun. That part is definitely fun, I will say. But outside of that fun, freedom, awesomeness, there is also a lot of uncertainty. There is also fear. There is also feeling out of sorts many times. And there is one character that, well, two characters. There are two characters that we know really well as entrepreneurs. One of them is the imposter syndrome. Tan, tan, tan. That visits us so often, it's not even funny. And the other one, and that's not unique to entrepreneurs, of course, is the negativity bias. Because our brain is designed to help us survive. And in that sense, it approaches everything with caution. And when it sees something that looks like a potential threat, it tells us that it's a potential threat. Back in ancient times, that was necessary, right? Because you needed to survive. But now we don't have so many dangers around us. But the brain still has that default setting. So it makes us look at things with that negativity bias color glasses. And it definitely colors everything that we do. Even when we're super aware of it, it's still there. The imposter syndrome is there to tell us that it's another form of protection, right? It's another form of fear. And fear is a protective factor. So it's another form of be careful, don't do that, do this. How about that? How about this? So it's a way to prevent us from making mistakes. It's a way to protect us ultimately. And yeah, we are growing, we are learning, so it's part of it, but that doesn't make it sting any less. And let me tell you, just when you think you are conquering it, it comes back again. And it's okay. It's okay that it's there. So we're not going to kick it out. We're going to understand that both the imposter syndrome and the negativity bias are there for a reason. So, how does that show up for me? I love what I do. Listen, when I was in teaching, I love teaching. I love teaching. And today, when I was full time teaching, and today I'm still teaching, just in a different way. More one on one, more private instruction, adults, specific topics about childbirth and lactation, etc. But I've always been a passionate woman. So when I was teaching full time and I was teaching littles, I love my job. Yeah, with its difficulties, with its rough moments, but I loved it. And I felt, for the most part, reassured that I was doing a good job. That helped me, but I wasn't infallible. I wasn't immune to feeling terrible or feeling that I wasn't doing enough, etc. As I became an entrepreneur, I thought, okay, this is gonna be nice. I'm gonna get to be my own boss, design my own lessons, spend time giving that one-on-one care to people that I so wanted, that I felt in the classroom I couldn't reach the families the way I wanted to reach them. And now I can. Oh, this is amazing. And I wasn't ready for all the extreme roller coaster that this type of job is. It is a roller coaster. It is like so up and down. You don't even know it. And the ups and downs sometimes are once a week, every 2 days, sometimes in the same day. You wake up and you go, oh, this is going to be an amazing day. And amazing. This is amazing. That's amazing. And then 2 hours later, you're like, why do I bother? Who is going to care what I have to say? Who is going to join me in my classes? Who is going to join me in my podcast? And when that deflatedness, I'm calling it deflatedness, comes, it comes harsh. It hits you like a wrecking ball. Sometimes it hits you so hard that you remember in the Roadrunner cartoon, how he would throw a rock on the coyote and the coyote would get flat. That's how you get sometimes as an entrepreneur, flat, flat. And hey, when you get flat, all you can do is peel yourself off the floor and keep going. In my case, I have a wonderful life partner, my husband, who supports me unconditionally in this job. He supported me while I was a full time teacher. And he really supported me in transitioning to doula work, to this career. He is my biggest encourager. And then sometimes he is my biggest, I don't want to say the word punisher, but perhaps he is the biggest kick in the pants in my life. Okay. I will share with him when I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling down. And he will be like, you don't have time to feel low or to feel down. You need to get with the program. You need to complete this project and that project and keep going. Now, I appreciate him giving me that kick in the pants like you wouldn't believe. At the same time, it's also hard because, sometimes in this work, in this lifestyle, you just need somebody that says, I understand, and it's okay to feel like poop today. I appreciate that he doesn't do that too often. Sometimes he does it. But I understand where he's coming from and I embrace it. I appreciate it. And at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but it's also okay to be like, this sucks. And it sucks deeply. And I wish it didn't suck. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, you have worries about finances. Sometimes you have worries about projects, and many times you tell yourself no before anybody else says no. Imagine that. Sometimes I have told myself no before anybody else said no. Why? Because of that fear. No, why bother asking this person? They're going to say no. No, why bother launching this class? Nobody's going to buy it. No, I don't know if I should be doing this presentation because maybe I don't know enough. Maybe I'm not prepared. Oof, that conference for podcasters? No, 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 no. That's for people with millions of followers. I don't belong there. Do you hear all this? When I catch myself, I go, whoop, wait a second. It's okay, fear. I hear you. You're trying to protect me. But I am going to do it anyway. I am going to do it anyway. And guess what? Yeah, I did contact that organization that is putting out a conference for podcasters, and I am going this week. I did do that presentation that I was so scared of and realized I had a really good time doing it because I was passionate about the subject. I did ask those people I was worried about asking, and they became guests in my podcast, and they became friends too. And I continue making connections that are wonderful. The biggest lesson from this entrepreneur life is that we are not alone in feeling how we're feeling and that we don't have to do this alone all the time. I know we're in our effort to be caring and compassionate and worry about other people. I don't know if you do that, but I do that a lot. We think, oh no, so and so is busy. I don't want to bother them. So and so has a lot on her plate. I don't want to bother her. The reality is, if you ask, if you lean on people, they will receive you with open arms. Okay? They will be like, thank you for telling me that you're not doing well today. Because you know what? I've also been feeling that way. I kid you not, this has happened with two of my business contacts, probably three, that I was fearful about sending them a message saying how I truly felt. And then the message back was, I've been feeling the same way. I'm so glad you brought this up. Or thank you for bringing this up because I want to help you not get discouraged, you know? Because a lot of times people on the outside, they have the words that we need to hear. We have to train ourselves to say those words too. I'm not saying we have to train ourselves to care for our own being. But the people on the outside, just like a good friend of mine said, Carol, we can see the label better when we're not inside the jar. So people on the outside, they can see the label better. And they can reflect back to us many, many things. So, some days I tell you the inspiration comes and it comes in boatloads. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, this for an episode, that for class. Oh my goodness. I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm recording an audio for myself and I'm saving a note. I'm saving a page on my folder. I love my folders. You know, a remnant of my many teaching years. And some days that creativity is overwhelming, pouring over, overflowing. And you're like regaling and all that. You're like, yes, yes. And then other days you wake up and you go, what am I doing? Is there anybody listening? Is there anybody that cares? There are so many other doulas, so many other podcasts. Perhaps I don't have a space. I don't know. What if people think I don't know what I'm talking about? What if people think there is no value in my content? Would it be safer to go back to teaching? Full-time teaching? No. No, 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 no. I believe in this mission. I believe in this work. I think I have a passion for working with families that cannot be stopped. But some days, the reality of emotions is that some days we are flat, we are deflated, we are struggling. And on those days, I've learned to listen to my body and I've learned to do what I need to do to feel better, whether it's extra rest, whether it's going out, going into nature. And I love going into nature, but it's been super hot lately, so that's been a challenge. Whether it is some journaling or perhaps leaning on those people in our life that are willing to help and willing to support us. And I think when those deflating days come around, it's a matter of appreciating them, welcoming them. They're part of the journey. Yeah, it sucks. We wish we had awesome energy every single day, but we don't. We don't. And I think summers are particularly hard for me because for so many years, summers were off for me. For so many years, I was used to my summer vacation as a teacher. And now summers are hard because I see everybody on vacation and I know I'm working. And even though I love my job, I love what I do, I still feel like, beach, ocean, pool, being outdoors, blah, blah, blah. And then I remind myself, it's okay. I don't have summers off anymore. but I have the ability to take a break during the year. I was going to say during the school year. Look at that. During the year, anytime, because I get to decide my own schedule and I get to decide what my day looks like. That's pretty amazing. I get to work with clients one on one. That's also pretty amazing. The schedule thing was something else that was really interesting for me when I first transitioned from the classroom, because I was used to spending my weekdays morning to evening in the classroom, in the school building. And when I started going to networking meetings and Chamber of Commerce meetings and things like that, I was like, is this what people do during the week? They have a lunch meeting and then they go back to the office, or they have an evening meeting and then they go home. It was so new for me. It was so interesting. And that was really fun. The interaction with families has been something else that is been super enriching. And this podcast has been pure joy. Like I said, I've met wonderful people, and I've become friends with several of my guests, and I'm looking forward to more. So that's really amazing. There is something else that comes into play when you are an entrepreneur. And it's the realization that even though you think that everybody that knows you will support you, your family will support you, your friends will support you, your little community that you have created over time will support you. Sometimes people don't quite fit in your vision, I have to say. Boy, there is grieving associated with that, because you want them to fit in that vision. You want them to be as excited for you as you are. And many times they are not. And sometimes, as you move into a new season of your life, a new career path, a new mission, people start falling off like brown leaves. And as much as it hurts, I've had to accept that that's part of the process. My biggest wealth right now is the support of my husband, the incredible joy that I get from doing this work and spending time with families, the hope and devotion I feel for welcoming new life into the world, the capability of doing work one on one with families and really, really supporting them and encouraging them in the areas that they need most. And in case you're wondering, it happens quite often. A lot of my friends that know my husband and I experience pregnancy loss, they sometimes will worry about giving me pregnancy announcements or telling me if they're struggling through a fertility process or things like that, because they think it's going to make me sad. But I can tell you, of course, in my heart, I'm always going to be a bereaved mother. We are bereaved parents. That's part of who we are. But I also have room for lots of new life and lots of new babies. And I have room for you and your family every time. When I'm working with a family, I can put on my doula hat and be joyful and happy and supportive for them. And when I'm at home and I'm not at work, I can be Mary Celeste's mother. And yeah, a lot of times be very sad that she's not here with us. A lot of times be very sad that we didn't get to hold her in our arms at the end of the 9 months. But ultimately, She is the pillar, the foundation of this business. Her little life is the pillar that supports all my work and is the reason for all my work. Easy? No, it's not easy. Bereavement is not easy. Grief is not easy. Choosing to leave a 9 to 5 to jump into a pool of uncertainty that entrepreneurship sometimes is, that's not easy either. But you know what? If you have a good life mission behind it, it becomes a lot easier. And it becomes something that every cell of your body is saying, let's do this. Let's do this. There is nothing else you want to do. Let's just do this. And that's the motor that keeps me going. But like I said, my strong pillars are my daughter, my baby, my husband, and my special business friends that are there when I need them. A shoulder to lean on, an ear, a place to say, hey, you're not alone. What you're feeling is very normal. I have felt it too, and it's okay. And you know what? As people do that with me, I then find the strength to do it with them or with new friends. Because when I'm having a really tough day, I know how much I appreciate that support. So when somebody else is having a tough day, I'm there. I'm there. I'm your gal. And more than anything, being open to see what the needs are and see what people need. Something else that people ask me is what does my day look like or how do I go about my day? And it depends. It depends on if I have clients, I will be going out to visit them. If I don't, I will be working in my office, developing different projects. And I have always a lot of projects going because that's what happens with the creative brain. We have ideas are overflowing. And then I sit down and do my podcast. And my podcast is an interesting thing because I probably told you this already, but here it goes again. I had been sitting on the idea of a podcast for a year, and I felt that I wasn't ready. I started a few episodes, but it wasn't gelling. I didn't know why it wasn't gelling. And as I reflected more and more, I realized that I hadn't found my voice. I had some generic episodes that were not me. They were perhaps a carbon copy of many other doula podcasts I've seen. And as beautiful as those podcasts are, they weren't me. They didn't have my voice, they didn't have my style. So I was a bit stumped. I was a bit, I don't want to say I was frozen because I was definitely moving, but it didn't feel like the right time to release the podcast. It didn't feel like things have had landed, you know? And as time passed and I became more comfortable speaking on video, I realized when people come to my podcast, I want them to come because they enjoy my stories, what I talk about, they enjoy my personality, they enjoy my flavor, my special salsa, you know, and I'm a salsa dancer and I also put my own salsa, my own sauce on things. So I thought that's really what I want. And it didn't come overnight, but when it came, I was like, okay, that's it. And it's been a joy to record the podcast since then. Now, Am I always a little energizer bunny with episodes? No. Some days the inspiration rushes in like a wave, and I'm like, let's record a ton today. And other days it's like, ugh, you know. But something that invariably happens, and something that my public speaking coach talks about, is that whether you're having a good day, a bad day, or in between, as soon as you turn on this camera and you start talking, everything disappears and joy just comes rushing in. And you know what? I enjoy this time. I enjoy spending time with you. I can't see you, but I know you're on the other side and you're hearing my stories and you're being touched by some of them. And they are little bits, little pearls that you savor and you save. And I have no magical book of knowledge. I am just another human taking it one day at a time. But if the little pearls that I've collected can make it to your stash and help your collection too, if the little pearls I have collected can inspire you to share pearls with somebody else, that's my job well done. And, you know, ultimately, it's about tending to all of my dimensions, all of your dimensions. I am a wife. I am a doula. I am a daughter and a sister. I am a mom of a baby in heaven. I am a friend. I have physical needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs, creative needs. And how I go about fulfilling all of those is where the magic is at, right? Some days we do better. I do better with some of them. Some days I do better with others. It's, yeah. But if you are in a process where you are thinking perhaps about becoming an entrepreneur, if there is a business idea that is deep in your heart that you really want to explore, if there is a project that you want to launch, just go for it. Like my good friend Erica says, let them be the ones that say no. You don't say no to yourself. Let them be the ones that say no. That's really special to me, something I've really embraced lately. So I think that's a good reflection for today. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, this little bonus episode, and I will talk to you later, okay? Bye. Hey, you have listened to the Wise Doula Podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, everything we discussed today was meant for entertainment and educational purposes only. It does not substitute the advice of your medical provider. Would you do us a favor? Follow me on Instagram at LovingBellyDoula. Also, let me know what other topics you would like to see me discuss in this podcast. And please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platforms. Thank you so much. I will see you next week.